I have been in an incredible experience over this last year. And one of the things that I have been experiencing more often than my personality or my ego desires is an experience of pain. Now, that pain has not been exclusively on the physical level. It never is. In fact, that pain can at times be enhanced with just an unconscious thought. Yesterday, I shared something that I had written that has had a profound impact. It has been something that, in particular, in the beginning of May, when I became so aware that I could not really facilitate the next level of my healing and be on the medications that I had at one time really needed to be on. Because those medications, as I have shared, some of you have heard me share this, were hindering my capacity to enter into altered states. And it is in an altered state, and you can think of that in so many different ways. Just think of it as a state of deep, deep relaxation and receptivity. Think of it as the state that you enter when you are in really deep prayer or meditation. Think of it as a state where you can access a consciousness that is non-ordinary. And I knew that I couldn't do that. And so therefore I couldn't sense energy in my body in the same ways. I couldn't enter into the visionary place of imagination. There were aspects of myself and my practice that I just could not access. And so what that meant also was an enhancement of the pain that those medications had been kind of somewhat muting out. Not necessarily taking away, but muting out. And yet there's such a strong awareness in me that it was and it remains the absolute right and perfect choice for me. For me. And I'm not saying that this is the right and perfect choice for everybody, but for me, in what I do and how I do it and how I connect to spirit, it was necessary. And what that has meant is a more, up until recently, much more significant contact with physical pain. Yesterday, I shared a little bit of writing, and at the end of the email, at the end of the newsletter, it's also on the blog, I shared something that was really quite personal. I guess everything I share these days is personal. And it was a conversation that I began having with pain. And what I'd like to do is invite you to consider this as something that you can bring into your own life and in your own practice and what you are affirming and what you are declaring and in how you are having conversations with whatever it is that is distracting you from your essence, from potential, anything that is distracting you from love, from compassion, from all of the things that you know are much more aligned with your most authentic nature and with divine essence that is within you, that is wanting to embody you. And so for me, I needed to have this conversation with pain. For you, it might be worry or doubt or lack of clarity. It might be sadness. It might be despair. It might be fear. It might be insecurity. Whatever it is that distracts you from knowing how powerful you are, how much of an influence you are, and how much of an influence you can have on not just your reality, but on the reality of others. So wherever I use the word pain, you can bring in a different word, and it may change. It may be that you substitute the word lack, or concern, or worry, or doubt, okay? Whatever it is, struggle. So I'm going to read this out loud, even though I shared it in writing yesterday. I'm going to read it out loud. And I believe that this is something that can be a very powerful declaration and a very powerful way to instantly move energy. And I'll come back to something important in terms of the moment. Well, let me just say this now. One of the things about what I'm going to share with you verbally is that part of this conversation with the pain was also acknowledging the ways that it had served me, what it had taught. It was acknowledging the sacred nature of it. And the moment that we come into contact, and hopefully you have listened to the teleclass that Brent and I delivered on Thursday, because we talked about this after kind of the meat of the presentation. That's really where we ended up, was this invitation to begin to see everything as sacred. And the moment we come into relationship with something as sacred, even something that has been undesired, even something that has been unwanted, the moment we come into relationship with it as sacred, we are in that moment elevating consciousness. And in the elevation of consciousness, we are becoming more of who we have always been intended to be. We are opening ourselves to an experience of ourselves in relationship with everything and everyone around us that is much more heightened than it typically is when we're just sort of in our humanness. And even our humanness is sacred. Even that reveals to us opportunities to fall in love with parts of ourselves, with tendencies and inclinations that we have once judged, because we become more aware of the sacred nature of even our shadow aspects, of our humanness, of the shadow aspects and the humanness in others. So that's woven into this, into what I'm going to read to you now. And I'm going to invite you to take in another deep breath, and in this breath, just imagine that breath kind of clearing a pathway within your knowing, within your hearing, within your sensing. This pain is not stronger than my God, nor is it more powerful. This pain does not contain me. It is contained within me. Therefore, I can see that I, in the truth of my wholeness, am much bigger. I thank this pain for what it has revealed to me in both my fears and judgments. I thank this pain for teaching me about surrender, patience, and grace. I thank this pain for taking me beyond anything I ever imagined I could walk through. Thank you for teaching me to love more and to learn to feel worthy to receive by forcing me into complete, undeniable dependency. I now rock you into peace with my breath and command you to step into the light of your own divinity. And with the sacred winds and the next blessed rains, may you melt into the earth and be reborn as something more beautiful than you know yourself to be. I began speaking that, not just thinking it. I began speaking that out loud. And I observed something very interesting. I observed a release of the pain. Now, it may have come back a little bit later, and I would speak again, and I would speak other things, and I was being quite funny and humorous, and I was standing up in the living room, and my husband was laughing at this display, at this boisterous conversation that I was having. But the pain melted away. I believe that you have that power within you, whether it's worry, whether it's confusion, whatever it is that is creating the illusion of separation between you and the perfection of your life, of your experience. Whatever it is that seems to be separating you from peace or harmony or ease or grace, whatever that is, there is a word or more than one word that can describe it, that you can integrate into your own personal prayer, declaration. And within that declaration, invite the transformation of how your consciousness has previously met that perceived experience by thanking it for what it has given you, for what it is teaching you, for what it has revealed within you, for the illusions it has uncovered, for the judgments it has shined light on. Thank it. It is sacred. It has purpose.